I'm at 4205 Glenhaven Road in Cincinnati, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. Looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be a concern to the buyer. The access point here is the roof. There's a clean out behind the stationary tub in the basement, but didn't want to come off easily, and so we're going to try this instead of trying to chisel out the cap, just to prevent any chance of damage in the pipe or something. It's pretty small, but it's not zero. So we're going to be going from the roof here. See main stack here. You can see that there. There is the front of the house. Excuse me. And so we're going to go. Then this is the copper stack, and then once it gets down, it kind of jogs, and then when it goes down through the floor, it turns into cast iron. It should be cast iron under the floor all the way out until it runs into, should turn into clay when it gets out of the house. So here's that cast iron. That is not, like those cracks there, that is basically the buildup of the sink, the grease and everything coming down through the main stack. The kitchen and the bathroom are back to back here, and so because of that, you have just grease buildup. If that was through, you would be able to see that on the line itself in the basement. And so you've made the turn partially, but this could mean sometimes it gets a little rough to get through this spot here. And once it makes a turn, it should go pretty smooth. But sometimes here, when they make that first turn, it's a little tight. And because we got stuff all over the camera, you can't really see what's going on. So I'm going to see if we can pause the video, see if we can run a little bit of water to help out the turn. Okay, so got some water running, but let's see if we can get the rinse off the camera now. There we go. Just stuck right there in the cast iron because it's so rough. Sometimes if you let it sit for a minute, so what I may do is just turn the microphone off so you don't have to hear me fighting. Seems like the water's escaping fine, it's just the turn for the camera for some reason doesn't want to make it. Barely caught up on the end here. I'm going to turn the microphone off so you don't have to hear that fighting with it. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. The other thing we have here is I do have a smaller camera. It just doesn't have a self-leveling head on it, so I'm going to go get the smaller camera and see if I can make it through these turns. So I'm going to pause the video. Alright, we're going to try one more time here, but I got my small camera. Well, so we're going to go ahead and pull this back out. We'll go in with the small camera. Alright, so we're going to pause the video, switch cameras, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we've got this switched over. Like I said, this is a smaller camera. It does not have a self-leveling head. So we're hoping that we can make it through. But see if we can get this down to the bottom here. Hopefully, with it being just a little more flimsy, we'll go through all these turns a little better. Very close. All right, at the bottom. I think I just got it. Okay. Yes, I did. So, sometimes with the smaller camera, it's a little hazy from hitting the bottom there. I can see well enough to do the inspection, but it does look a little hazy on here and there. We are still running water. So what we try to do is push all the way out, and then once we get all the way out, hopefully we'll see well enough on the way back. Once we get the line rinsed off out by the main. So we did switch over to clay when we exited the house. But the camera is really hazy now. I have to check to see if they turned on the hot water instead of the cold water there. But you can see a little bit, it did just drop off, it seemed like. And so hopefully what we can do is we'll get all the way back and then all the way out to the tap on the main. Or at least make sure we get off the property. And then we should be good.
me go ahead and turn the microphone off because all you can hear is me fighting with this thing in the line. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go find out, make sure we're at least off the property and see how close we are to the main. If we're off the street, or out in the street, then we're off the property, and from that point, from about the sidewalk on, is the responsibility of the sewer department. And so we want to at least verify that we're off the property in that way. If there is a small bit of pipe that we can't inspect, if there ever is a problem in the future, then you won't have to worry about it being your responsibility as far as the homeowner. So again, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go down and locate exactly where the camera is and see if we can make sure it's off the property. Okay, so we are definitely off the property. We are within 5 feet of the sewer main. If we can get a couple more feet, you'd be able to see the opening. And now, as you've seen it acclimate to the temperature, and that's why I'm having such a hard time pushing it. The line here is concrete. You can see the exposed aggregate, or like the stones and rocks that's in the concrete. And so, if I can just get a little bit further, be able to show you the connection onto the main. But see how it's exposed rocks and stuff, but the line looks great. I didn't have any obstructions along the way. And so if you can see that connection just off in the distance, we're just going to be able to make it. Tell, because this does not have a self-leveling camera on it, the bottom of the camera, the bottom of the pipe is on the right hand side where the water is. So yeah, you can see the connection there. So we have made it all the way to the main, and so we're going to go ahead and pull back. We'll get a lot better inspection on the line this way. As far as we were pushing out, like I mentioned, you get stuff all over the camera and it gets hazy. Now, again, you'll have to watch wherever the flow line is. Wherever that water is obviously the bottom of the pipe. And it is normal to have that exposed aggregate there, just from it slowly wearing away the pipe. Just like if you have old concrete outside and it rains over years and years and years of rains, you start to have those exposed rocks as it wears away the stuff in between. Doesn't mean the pipe's bad, it's just normal wear and tear for 55, 60 years of usage. So far, the line looks great. This is a normal. Okay, now it looks like we're in clay, which would make sense. The clay line, concrete out in the street, and then clay as we get back onto the property. So far, the line looks great. One of the most normal things to find on clay lines is some root intrusion, but there are no trees or anything in the front yard, so that's good news. Mainly that's due to, with clay, you have a connection about every 3 feet, so over the years sometimes the packing will break down and allow some roots to get in. But we are already back into the cast iron. And so cast iron is also normal for this age of house. The material itself is kind of tough to gauge how much life is left in it because it does rust, so it does naturally wear away. And so what we're looking for here is just functionality at this point, making sure that it's flowing right and that we don't see any large holes in the pipe. This is towards the end of the time when they used cast iron. This is late 60s. And in the mid to late 70s, they quit using cast iron on residential. They still use it on commercial buildings, like high rises and stuff, for fire code. But quit using it, like I said, pretty long ago. But based off of what I've seen, the line looks really good. It's functioning properly. I haven't seen any structural issues. And now we are vertical. You can see that's why it's dripping off the end of the camera. And so we're coming back up through the stack, and we are in the copper line. It is about 2 feet above the floor and comes all the way up through the roof. There is some PVC installed also that had been replaced for the bathroom upstairs, but you can't really see it from in here. Another thing I want to note about cast iron is that it is a big problem with cast iron is because of how rough it is and how it rusts. You want to avoid wet wipes either way in any even brand new pipe. Wet wipes can cause a lot of backups, what we call soft clogs. They can catch on those bits of rust, and then they don't break down like toilet paper does, and so they can cause clogs that can pretty easily be cleared, but it can still back up, out of the floor drain and onto the floor. So you want to make sure that if you're going to use wet wipes, you throw them in the trash can, don't throw them down the toilet, or they could cause backups in your sewer line. But yeah, other than that, the line looks really good. It's functioning properly. Looks great for its age. I did mention the cast iron. Like I said, you can't really tell how much life is left in it, but right now and at time of inspection, it's functioning as designed. And the outside clay between the house and the curb looked really good. There was no root intrusion, didn't even have an offset in any of the connections. That all looked great. And then the concrete line that was from the curb out to the main, that looked wonderful too. Had a little bit of wear from the age, but the whole line was functioning properly and was open and flowing at time of inspection. So that'll end the inspection at 4205 Glenhaven Road in Cincinnati, Ohio.